Welcome to our first edition of Autism Take or Autism Findings, where I share my thoughts on what's going on in the world of autism, because that's the world I live in. That's probably the world you live in if you're watching this program. So I'm learning that most people on the autism spectrum are also experiencing gender dysphoria. And I'm wondering why that is. People who are transitioning to another gender, studies have shown that they also have some form of autism. So I don't know if this is troubling to just me, or if you feel the same way. Please leave me a comment and leave me a comment. Let me know if you feel if this is troubling to you, if it's bothering you like it's doing me, because I've been doing some research, and what's really astonishing is that the numbers are really high. And this is not to say that there are people who are not truly gender dysphoric. Of course they are. I'm sure there are people who don't think that they are in the right body. Yes, there are people who will transition and they will be happier for it. That's definitely true, and I believe that. So this is not a show to discredit anyone who is really having issues with their gender. But this is me ranting about the fact that so many people on the autism spectrum are claiming to be trans. I would say claiming because it is not possible that all of the people who present to be are. The number is so high. Like, according to CDC, the Centers for Disease and Control Prevention, or Disease Control and Prevention, autistic people are about 2 to 3% of the population in the US. But then when you go to studies made by clinics who transition people or who take care of the people who transition, they say in their studies that it's about 10 to 25% of the people who come there to transition that are autistic. Now that is a high number, considering the fact that the people who are autistic in the population are just 3% at the most. But then when you consider the people who are transgender, it's 10 to 25%. So that is crazy high. That is a lot of autistic people. So why is this? I'm trying to find out why this is. Why? What is going on? And I can't help but think that, me preaching about parents spending time with their children, it just comes to my mind. Like, we can't go away from this. We can't run away from this. And a lot of parents, even in the US, are guilty of this. But let me tell you, it's even more prevalent in African countries, where they think that people with autism are a taboo, or there's something wrong with them, and so they don't even bother to communicate with them, or the child doesn't understand me, so you let the child be. Things like that are very dangerous for an autistic child. The more you communicate with them, the better they become, the more they learn, the more they know that they're being accepted. But this is not happening, and this is why I'm fighting the good fight to get these kids the help that they need. Okay, so first of all, spending time with your child is very important, and I don't mean quantity time. So I'm not saying you should leave your job or anything like that. I'm talking quality time, even if it's just a weekend. But finding the time to know your child and learn your child and talk with your child, even if your child is non-verbal, but at least know what's going on in their minds, and pour into your child and show them love and acceptance. This is very important, because I can't help but think that the reason why some of these autistic people who claim to be trans people is probably because, this is just me thinking. Is it because usually they think black and white? Most autistic people, it's either this or it's that. Like, there's no in-betweens for them. So it's either this way or that way. So for example, as an autistic girl, if I do not like to play with dolls, or I don't like to do my nails and all of that, I might start thinking that maybe I'm in the wrong body, because I like to talk to boys more. Boys are more logical, like they're less emotional. And as an autistic girl, I'm not emotional. I'm thinking logical. So am I in the wrong body? And especially when you have all these social media, TikTok, and all of those people who welcome these children with open arms and they say, oh, you feel this way? You're trans. Oh, you feel that way? You're definitely in the wrong body. When you have things and communities like that who just reel these children in my opinion, they reel them in and they tell them, yes, you're welcome here. Yes, whatever you're feeling is valid. And this is why you're feeling what you're feeling. You know, when you have those things in the faces of these children, it's little wonder to me that they would turn around and say, yes, I'm in the wrong body, because it just makes sense to the logical mind of an autistic person. Like, I'm a boy and I don't enjoy sports. My son Williams doesn't like sports. Like, he doesn't know how to do team sports. I'm teaching him how to play tennis now because it's just him. So hopefully that works out. But if it doesn't, it's still fine. Just because you're a guy doesn't mean that you have to do sports. It'll be nice because sports teaches you some kind of discipline. You know, some kind of sports would be nice. But if you still don't resonate with any sports, that's still fine. You're probably very good at something else, and that's awesome. Okay, but if I'm an autistic boy and I don't do sports, and I'm thinking, is there something wrong with me? Especially if your parents have not had the talk with you that you're autistic, and the reason why you feel the way you're feeling is because you're autistic. The reason why you don't respond quickly to people is because your brain needs more time to process the information, and it's fine. If your parents don't have those kind of conversations with you, then you are more likely to seek answers somewhere else. And our children go on the internet, right? Not my children, but children in general. I like to believe not my children. I make them watch YouTube Kids for now. But, you know, they go on the internet and that's where they seek answers. And unfortunately, there's so many groups that are reeling children in and telling them that what they're feeling is valid and what they're feeling means that they're in the wrong body. And these children end up deciding that because I don't like sports and I'm a boy, I'm supposed to be a girl. I think that is just one theory. What do you guys think? Like, correct me if I'm wrong. Leave a message. Leave a comment. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think if I'm wrong. But that's just one of my theory. Or could it be because an autistic person is usually more prone to depression? Again, because they do not know what they are and they don't have a support system, right? Because if you tell me, hey, look, what you're feeling is because you're autistic and there's so many children like you, and, you know, it doesn't make you any less. It just makes you different, and different is awesome. And look at your strengths. These are your weaknesses and I'll help you work with them. If I hear that as a child, I am less prone to feel down on myself, right? But if you don't have that conversation with me, and I'm thinking to myself, why don't I play in the playground with the other kids? Why is that when I join them to play, they disperse? Like, they don't want to play with me. I'm trying my best. Why is it not working? Why am I not as fluent speaking as the other children? If I'm thinking all of those thoughts and you don't have those kind of conversations with me and tell me that I have a support and all of that, then I'm prone to fall into my own imaginations and my own thinkings. And most times, unfortunately, people do not go to the good parts. Like, when they're thinking about what is wrong with me, it's always like the bad parts, especially when they come across other kids that would call them names like, oh, you're weird, you're not talking, things like that. And children say that because that's what they heard. They think if you're not talking, you're dumb or something like that. And so they repeat it to other children on the spectrum. And if your child is not well, if your child doesn't have the knowledge that they need to know, they'll take that in and they will internalize it and they would dwell on that sentence. And because the autistic mind naturally repeats things in their mind, they would repeat that negative thought and it would just linger and linger. And in my opinion, that's why autistic people are very prone to depression and anxiety. And if a child who is prone to depression doesn't have the tools and is not in a happy environment and has absentee parents in the household, then what do you think that child is going to do? They're going to go on the internet and they're going to find a community that will accept them and tell them why they're feeling the way they're feeling. And it's probably because they're in the wrong body, and try another body and see how you feel. You know, as if it was that easy. I wish it was that easy, but it's not, because once you transitioning back, detransitioning is kind of harder than transitioning, right? At least that's what I've heard. It's kind of hard, because when you transition, all these hormones and everything, and it's not just the physical attributes of it. It's, for me, it's the mind that you have to go through, the years of preparing to be another gender, even though that's not what you were meant to be, but because you're running away from some kind of feeling of depression or some kind of not knowing what is wrong with you and all of that, and then you go through a couple of years of just believing that you're something that you're not, and then you go through the transition, and then only to find out that that is not really your problem. Like, this did not solve anything. I actually saw on Facebook one time, one lady posted in a group that I'm in. She said that her child is wanting to transition, and she needs help, and she doesn't know what to do, and she needs advice and all of that. And everyone in the comments said to her, go to this group. It's a transgender group. They will help you and all of that. And in my mind, I'm like, why do you go to a transgender group for that kind of help? Because first of all, they're just going to tell you, oh yeah, definitely, what you're feeling is valid. Yes, you're not a boy, you're a girl. Come over, we'll help you, we'll send you referrals to where to go to, the doctors to go to, the clinics to go to. I'll even send you the pills for free and all of that. That's what you're going to get from a transgender group. Now, if your child is going through something like that, why don't you go to I would suggest you go to a group of detransitioners. That's what I would suggest. Let me tell you why. Because you want to hear stories of people who have done it and have decided that it wasn't for them. Hear their stories first. And then if it still makes sense to you to do it, then go ahead and do it, by all means. But if you're clouded with stories of people who are transitioning or just transitioned, or people who have transitioned and they're happy because they are living in their truth, there are people like that, but I think that they should be very few, a lot fewer than what we have. If you're only hearing those stories, then even if you were confused, you will think that you're not. You'll be in this euphoria of, oh, this is how my life is going to be after I transition. No, you have to listen to the people who have detransitioned. And then if you still feel like transitioning, then I bet you're probably on the right track, okay? But if you listen to detransitioners and that scares you and you have some kind of doubt in your mind, then maybe seek some kind of therapy, another form of therapy. Not transitioning, because some people use transitioning as therapy. It is not therapy. Seek another kind of therapy, something that would discuss the real issues going on in your life and why you feel like maybe you're in the wrong body. Maybe it's something else. Look for some kind of therapy that would address those issues. And again, like I said, talk to these detransitioners, and if you still feel like doing it, go ahead. So God bless you all. Thank you for listening. Leave me a like, leave me a comment, and please subscribe if you haven't, or follow us depending on where you're watching this, and let us know what you think about this. Let me know what you think about this topic in your comments. Stay blessed. Bye.